The galactic diplomatic station, known as Harmony Point, floated in the quiet darkness between three star systems. It was a massive structure built from metal and glass, home to hundreds of species who came together for trade and peace talks. Every species had their own section, their own food halls, and their own customs. But in the central plaza, everyone mixed together. It was there that the trouble started on what should have been an ordinary afternoon. Marcus Chen had been living on Harmony Point for 3 standard months. He worked as a cultural advisor, helping different species understand each other. It was difficult work because every species had different rules about respect and honor. Some species bowed, others showed their teeth. A few would spit on the ground as a greeting. Marcus had learned them all. But today he was not working. Today he was simply eating his lunch. He sat at a corner table in the mixed species food court. On his plate was something simple: grilled protein strips with vegetables and a side of bread. Nothing fancy. Nothing expensive. Just comfort food that reminded him of home. But what made this moment special was not the food. It was the 3 small bodies pressed against his legs under the table. The Orcs cubs had found Marcus 2 weeks ago during a terrible situation. Their mother, a diplomat named Kira Shan, had been injured in a shuttle accident. While she recovered in the medical bay, her 3 cubs had nowhere to go. Orcs cubs needed constant warmth and protection. Without it, they became sick very quickly. The station authorities had tried everything. They put the cubs in heated rooms. They assigned Orcs volunteers to watch them. Nothing worked. The cubs cried and whimpered day and night. Then Marcus had visited the medical bay to check on Kira Shan. He had worked with her on several projects. The moment he walked into the room, the smallest cub had stopped crying. It had crawled across the floor and pressed itself against his leg. The other 2 followed within seconds. Something about humans made them feel safe. Maybe it was the body heat that radiated from human skin. Maybe it was the steady heartbeat that humans had. Maybe it was something else entirely that no scientist could explain. Whatever the reason, the cubs had chosen Marcus, and Marcus had accepted them without question. Now the cubs went everywhere with him. They slept in a pile on his bed at night. They followed him to meetings and curled up under his chair. They made soft rumbling sounds when he spoke, and louder rumbling sounds when he laughed. The whole station had grown used to seeing the human with his small, furry shadows. Most species thought it was strange, but harmless. A few even thought it was sweet. But the Krelthan delegation did not think it was sweet at all. The Krelthan were a proud species. They stood 8 feet tall with scales that shone like polished metal. They valued strength above everything else. In their culture, the strong took what they wanted from the weak. It was not cruelty to them. It was simply the natural order of things. The Krelthan had come to Harmony Point to negotiate mining rights in a disputed asteroid field. They were not happy about having to negotiate at all. They believed they should simply take what they wanted. 3 Krelthan warriors entered the food court that afternoon. They were looking for something to assert their dominance over. Their eyes scanned the room, passing over the groups of aliens until they landed on Marcus. A single human sitting alone with a plate of food. An easy target, a simple way to show their strength before the negotiations began. The largest Krelthan walked over to Marcus's table. His name was Thrakvol, and he was the leader of the warriors. He stopped directly in front of Marcus and looked down at him with cold, yellow eyes. "Human," Thrakvol said. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. "Your food. Give it to me." Marcus looked up from his plate. He did not stand. He did not show fear. He simply raised one eyebrow and said, "Excuse me?" "Your food belongs to me now," Thrakvol said. "This is how things work. The strong take from the weak. You are weak. I am strong. Give me your plate." Under the table, the cubs pressed tighter against Marcus's legs. They could feel the tension in the air. They could hear the threatening tone in the Krelthan's voice. Their small bodies began to tremble, but not from fear, from something else entirely. Marcus shook his head slowly. I don't think so, friend. I'm eating my lunch. You can get your own food from the vendors over there. Thrakvol's scales rippled with anger. No one had ever refused him before. He reached down and grabbed the edge of Marcus's plate. His claws scraped against the metal surface as he began to pull it away. What happened next shocked everyone in the food court. The smallest cub shot out from under the table like a furry missile. It planted itself between Marcus and the Krelthan warrior. Its tiny body puffed up to twice its normal size. Its fur stood on end, and from its throat came a sound that no one had ever heard a Vorax cub make before. It growled. Not a small, cute growl, a deep, rumbling, threatening growl that seemed far too loud for such a small creature. The other two cubs joined their sibling within seconds. They formed a line in front of Marcus, their small bodies shaking with fury. Their eyes, usually soft and gentle, had gone hard and fierce. Their growls merged together into a sound that made the scales on Thrakvol's neck stand up. The Krelthan warrior froze. He had fought many enemies in his life. He had faced creatures 10 times his size without fear. But something about these tiny cubs made him hesitate. There was a warning in their growls, a promise. They would not allow anyone to take from their human. They would fight to their last breath to protect him. Marcus did not move. He did not need to. He simply sat there with a calm expression on his face while the cubs defended him. A small smile played at the corner of his lips. Thrakvol's companions stepped forward, ready to swat the cubs aside. But before they could move, a new voice cut through the tension like a blade. I would not do that if I were you. Everyone turned to see Station Commander Zaratek approaching the table. She was a Talaxian, a species known for their wisdom and their photographic memories. She walked with slow, deliberate steps, her 4 arms folded behind her back. Those cubs have claimed the human as their protected, Commander Zaratek explained. Under galactic law, any species that forms a protection bond has the right to defend that bond with lethal force. If you harm those cubs, their mother will have legal grounds to demand blood payment from your entire delegation. Thrakvol's eyes widened. They are just cubs. They cannot form protection bonds. Vorax cubs form the strongest bonds of all, the commander replied. And they have clearly chosen this human. Look at them. They are ready to die for him. Are you ready to start an interspecies incident over a plate of food? The food court had gone completely silent. Every species in the room was watching. Some were recording the scene on their personal devices. Others were already sending messages to their home worlds. The story of the cubs who challenged the Krelthan warriors would spread across the galaxy within hours. Thrakvol looked at the cubs. He looked at Marcus. He looked at the watching crowd. His claws slowly released the plate. The metal surface slid back toward Marcus with a soft scraping sound. This is not over, human, Thrakvol said. Marcus finally spoke. His voice was quiet but firm. I think it is. You tried to take something that was not yours. These cubs reminded you that not everything can be taken by force. Some things are protected by love, and love is stronger than you think. The Krelthan warriors turned and walked away. Their scales were dull with embarrassment. They had come looking for an easy victory and had found defeat instead. Defeated not by weapons or warriors, but by 3 small cubs who refused to let anyone hurt their human. When the warriors were gone, Marcus reached down and picked up the smallest cub. He held it against his chest and felt its tiny heart beating fast. The cub's growl faded into a soft purring sound. It nuzzled against Marcus's neck and closed its eyes. You did good, Marcus whispered. You did really good. The other 2 cubs climbed up onto his lap. They pressed against him from both sides, their fur warm and soft. Marcus held them all and felt something in his chest that he had not felt in a long time. He felt like he belonged somewhere. He felt like he was home. Later that evening, Kira-Shan woke up in the medical bay. The first thing she saw was Marcus sitting beside her bed with her cubs sleeping in his arms. Tears formed in her large, dark eyes. "You protected them," she said. "No," Marcus replied. "They protected me. I just gave them something worth protecting." Kira-Shan reached out with one weak paw and touched his hand. "Humans are strange creatures. You are not the strongest species. You are not the fastest. You are not the most advanced. But you have something that makes others want to fight for you. My cubs sensed it the moment they met you." Marcus looked down at the sleeping cubs. "What is it? What do we have?" Kira-Shan smiled. It was a tired smile, but it was full of warmth. "Heart. You have heart. And that is the most powerful force in the universe." The news of what happened in the food court spread quickly. Within days, every species on the station knew the story of the human and the cubs. The Krelthan delegation completed their negotiations and left without causing any more trouble. They had learned an important lesson. Strength was not just about muscles and claws. True strength came from bonds that could not be broken. Marcus continued his work as a cultural advisor. The cubs continued to follow him everywhere. And whenever someone asked about the strange sight of a human with 3 Vorax cubs, Marcus would simply smile and say, "Family is not about blood. It is about who stands beside you when the world tries to take everything away." The cubs would growl in agreement, and everyone who heard them understood that this human was protected by something far more powerful than any weapon. He was protected by love, and in the cold darkness of space, love was the rarest and most precious thing of all.